Are we live? This is the 10 minutes when Cash is trying to figure out if he's actually live or not. Hopefully. Can we find out if we're live? Oh my goodness. Where is it saying if I'm live on YouTube or not? This is so bad. Like, there should be a little countdown thingy, I know, but I can never find the thing. Yes, I'm live. Yes, fantastic. Okay, so now I've actually figured out we're live. Ignore the first 10 seconds like normal of the live stream as I'm trying to figure out what we're doing. Now, tonight we're going to really talk about manager appointments, how to choose managers, why clubs fail so much with managers. And it does come down to the clubs, it really does. Player power, because it's not really a thing, but it is a thing. That makes sense, Cash. How can it not really be a thing and it is a thing at the same time? Well, there's many reasons for that, and we're going to talk about that today because basically that comes down to ownership. And a lot of the problems in football are down to owners. And the way that the club is run and what's really going on inside of a football club. Because you might think that they have plans and structures and organisations, but it's not really like that. They chase the new shiny thing. How do you know they're chasing the new shiny thing? Well, because you see how often they fire managers for no really good reasons. They don't come up with smart ideas. And we're also going to touch on Spurs a little bit, about the Spurs problem, because no one actually talks about the real problems in football. They just come up with nonsense, and then other people go along with that nonsense and repeat it, and it becomes a thing. But let's just start with the Spurs thing before I forget, because that does annoy me. The main reason Spurs are terrible is because Spurs have always been terrible for the last sort of 10 years, except for they've had a Harry Kane who gets you out of all sorts of troubles, and you had a Son who gets you out of all sorts of troubles. So when you realise that all of their goals were coming from two people and they're no longer at the football club, well, ultimately, guess what happens to your football club? You haven't replaced your top strikers. You don't think you can replace Harry Kane. Let's be honest. He was a great goal scorer for him. And everybody else in the team is just general players in the Premier League. But if you took Harry Kane and stuck him into any team in the Premier League, there'd be a better team. And that's what was going on at Spurs for such a long time. So when you talk about the managers rotating or they're trying to get rid of managers for not doing the right thing, well, it all comes down to they're not scoring goals because they haven't got a Harry Kane or a Son up front anymore. And that goes for a lot of teams. I think you're finding it out with Liverpool this year with Mo Salah's not scoring the goals. And all of a sudden, you've got an average Liverpool team and they're not scoring goals because Salah's not there anymore. Well, he is there, but, he's not really very good at the moment, is he? And that's one of the big things no one talks about in football. The guy putting the ball in the back of the net is massively important. If you look at Newcastle this year, they don't have Isak, whatever his name. Yeah. All of a sudden, the goals dry up, the form falls apart of the football team, and everyone's blaming the manager or blaming it. Well, no, you don't have a world-class striker up front anymore, and you haven't replaced him with a world-class striker, and the strikers you have replaced him with are injured. So it's this one of these weird things where goal scorers leave football teams, and no one talks about, well, they've lost their goal scorer. It's the manager's fault. Let's fire the manager. It's madness. And you see it more and more nowadays where the actual analytics of what's going on the football field is irrelevant. It doesn't really matter what the football team's doing or why they're losing or why they're winning. That's just irrelevant. It's just feelings. It's like, oh, we feel like we've got a good squad, so we feel like we should do well, so we feel like we should be in it's nonsense. You don't have a good goal scorer. If you're not scoring goals, you're not going to win games. This nonsense as well. I mean, it's one of these things that people repeat. Defence wins championships. No. Goals win championships. Defence secures it. Like it becomes this sort of thing. Oh, if you've got a good defence, you'll win championships. No, you won't. You have to have a threat up front. If you've got a good threat up front, defence can win you championships. And without that threat up front, you're always going to struggle as a football team. And people just seem to forget that. It's just like, wow, no, it's not Harry Kane's not there scoring goals for Spurs, and Spurs have now dropped off. Well, yeah, that's what's happened. They haven't replaced Harry Kane. They haven't spent the money. They haven't done anything. Is this when you're starting? Yes, buddy. Yes, mate. Yeah, I'm going to talk over about club structures today. I'm going to talk about basically how hiring and firing of managers and why that's important. But I was just going on a Harry Kane rant and a Tottenham rant and sort of like a Newcastle rant, and even some extent you can stick your club Man United into this as well. Without a good goal scorers, your team isn't worth anything. If you don't have someone getting you 20 plus goals a season and another guy getting you at least 10 goals a season, you're in real trouble. And people aren't just never talk about that. They talk about all this other nonsense. It's like, well, what are you talking about? Defense wins you titles. No, it doesn't. See, I just said that. Defense doesn't win you titles. It doesn't. The only reason, see, that's one of these things that morons have been saying and it's been repeated for years. Defense doesn't win you titles. Having a striker that scores you 60 goals wins you a title. A defense might help you secure it, but being a defensive team isn't going to win you the Champions League, isn't going to win you the Premier League. You have to score goals. And if you're not a threat scoring goals, it doesn't matter how good you are defensively. What? You draw every game 0-0. You've not conceded a goal all year. Yeah, but you haven't scored a goal all year either. Yeah, I know. Yeah. Wins games, and to win the league, you need to win games. Oh, yeah, true. Yeah. But it is about winning. It's all about having a threat. The only reason teams are good defensively is because people don't want to push all their players forward onto them because they've got a threat up front. If you don't have that threat up front, and there's so many Premier League clubs that don't have a proper threat up front, are you worried about any strikers in the Premier League other than Haaland? Are you? No. And that's the thing. When Spurs have got, Harry Kane's gone and Isak's left Newcastle, both of those two teams dropped like a stone because they were keeping them up there because they were scoring goals for their team. And it's massive. It's massively important. And it's just so overlooked in football. When you're not scoring goals, everything becomes a problem. When you are scoring goals, defensively, you're more sound. Why? Because the other team doesn't want to come anywhere near you because they're going to score on them. So it's one of these things in football, and you'll find that people talk about this stuff over and over again, and they say silly things. Choose Cash as the manager, and yeah. Well, I wouldn't get a manager's job because I'm a little bit too abrasive nowadays. They wouldn't last 10 minutes with me in the room. That's one of the major issues as well. But that's when I start getting onto this manager rant, and I'm going to go onto this in detail because it needs to be said. And I'm going to do another separate video on it as well. But I just wanted to get it out on a live and just go through it all because most people don't really know what happens with new managers and all this sort of stuff. With United, the problem of the agents demanding for higher wages. It's not the agent's fault. Again, that's the owners. See, that's the other thing that we do in football. We contribute the blame to the wrong area, and we don't actually sort of, the problem just keeps reoccurring. If the owners just, you can't put you when Daniel Levy was at Tottenham, none of the agents would bully him with wages. So why can they do it at Man United? You might think that the Prem is bad, but actually, I'm telling you right now, I was coming to this realization over the last couple of days, and I was going to do that Newcastle Aston Villa game with no VAR. And I've been noticing over the last sort of 5 years, the Premier League to me is completely and utterly boring to watch. It really is. I don't see good games. I'm watching a game of football and I don't really... I think there's a couple of Leeds games I've liked and maybe a Sunderland game that's been really fun to watch. And then when you go back and you look at when VAR came in, VAR has basically destroyed the game. No one's playing fast, attacking, free-flowing football, little niggles, pulls, shirt. None of that exists anymore. It's just boring, formaic football of system against system of, everyone's looking for a cheap free kick, and because they know that it's going to be on VAR, looking for how many times are people asking for penalties on VAR? Like that's what people are going for now. And I bet if I pull the statistics up, there's more penalties now than ever before, and less open play goals because of VAR. It's completely destroyed football. It's only going to get worse as well the more that they keep putting it in, and because there's no going back. And you can see as well, like, this is one of my things that baffled me as well. I heard some of the mainstream morons talking about referees being bad. You've got to be a referee for like 7 or 8 years before you're in the Premier League. And if you're that bad, imagine being a brain surgeon and 6 out of 10 of your patients die. That's the strike rate that these Premier League referees have. 6 out of 10 games they get wrong. Like, it's madness. What's this? Miniarola was making public statements, sacking United. Attacking United. Well, yeah, of course, because they're dealing with a scumbag. Like, here's the other thing. If the owners turn around and said, if you're represented by him, we're never going to have you at our football club, because that's what I would do. Miniarola would never be at the... No, don't want any of your players. No, don't care how good they are. If you're represented by this guy, we will not hire you at our football club. Done. And then guess what? The next football club will say, oh, yeah, we don't like that agent either. And and all of a sudden, that agent won't be able to sell any players. It doesn't matter how good the player is. Because that player will want a certain amount of wage. If the top 4 or 5 clubs say, no, we're not dealing with that agent, he's done. Boom. But they don't, because they've got no spine. They've got no authority. No one's actually sort of doing anything. And that's the big problem in football, is they're all too scared. They are genuinely too scared. Give me a club for 4 years in the Premier League, and I guarantee you the entire game would be changed. Well, it's not a bold move, it's the right move. You tell me, if you're in business and someone's bullying you and you continue to do business with that person, who's at fault, you or the bully? Or you? Deal with it. Say, no, I'm not going to pay those wages. No, you're not going to bully. No, and we're never going to do business with you again. Done. Send out an official statement. Well, imagine that. Man United send out an official statement, right? Because you're driving up player wages. Do you know who would be on board with you straight away? Real Madrid. Real Madrid would go, yeah, we don't like. Do you know who else would be on board with you? PSG. Oh, yeah, we're not dealing with that agent anymore either. It all jump ship. All of them. Done. Oof. It takes one club with some authority to do it, and they all do it. At the time, he had Pogba. Yeah, and Haaland. Exactly. And look how that turned out. See, one of the things when you're coaching, and I should tell this to youth coaches quite often as well, football has become way too corporate. Yes, and that's all VAR is. It's a way of corporatization of football to basically keep the cartel, the top clubs in, and not have other things happen. And if you don't believe me, go and look at all the Man City wins that they've had for dodgy, goals when they scored offside against Fulham and loads of stuff. The corporatization of football is a massive, massive problem. But if you go back to Pogba, so I say this to youth managers all the time. If you've got a parent that's a problem, kick them off your team straight away. Don't take 10 seconds. Don't care how good the kid is. Get rid of them. It's the same reason for Paul Pogba. Everything that you do in the youth level or in the semi-pro level works at the Premier League. Everything. Absolutely everything. Just the people you're talking about change. Okay? So the problem, the cancer, it could be the parent, it could be the agent, right? You just get rid of them. Because what happened is Paul Pogba then gave every single other player at Manchester United a bad attitude. And that cancer grew and grew and spread and spread and spread. Now you've got a massive problem. If they were just strong and got rid of him, done, it wouldn't have spread and United wouldn't have been in a 10-year downfall. And that's how you have to handle it. You can't be, any way but that. But that goes on to managerial stuff, which I want to cover, because I don't think people... I know football clubs don't have a bloody clue what they're really doing. They don't. I can remember buddy of mine, he was at... where was he coaching? He might have been in Middlesbrough with Brian Robson, actually. And he was sort of telling me about, we don't care about their foot skills. We just want really big, tall athletes and we'll make them footballers. I went, yeah, all right, yeah. So 5 years later, we're not looking for big, tall athletes. We want footballers. Yeah. And everything about his model kept changing because they didn't understand what they were doing, because they hadn't coached enough football. And if you know, you can't turn a donkey into a football player. You just can't do it. Emil Heskey is the classic example. He's a donkey. He had a great career with no real skills, but he did a great job of doing it. Couldn't play in the modern game. But that's how things change. He might actually a lot. He probably could play in the modern game because they'd stick him up front, bang the ball to him, and no one would be able to deal with him. Pogba got the most abuse from. Oh yeah. But you see, Pogba brought it on himself. His model has been working. Oh, was it? Okay, well, we'll talk about that later, DC. It's so the main. So first of all, player power doesn't exist. Okay, it's not a thing, but it also is a thing. So you can't have it's an oxymoron. The only reason player power exists is because managers don't have any authority. If the manager has no authority, the players rule. I always do this analogy, and it drives coaches mad, and players get so upset when I say this. There's no such thing as a coach or a manager. You're a babysitter. All your players are babies. Oh, they're grown men. No, they're babies. If you have got a kid, right, and you're a babysitter, and the babysitter's got no authority, that kid is going to rip you apart and do whatever they want. Okay? It's the same as a football manager. Those babies are going to rip you apart and do whatever they want if you've got no authority. So where does the authority lie, really? The authority with the manager lies that he's not going to get replaced. If the players think that that manager is going to get overturned or kicked out by the owners, they don't respect him because they don't have to. They don't care. He's going to be gone in 6 weeks. So therefore, the babies aren't going to respect the babysitter. The babysitter, like the first thing you do is you walk in the football club and you fine everyone 4 weeks' wages. Oh yeah, all right. No one's getting paid for 4 weeks. What? No, you're going to have to earn your money. What? You can't do that. You can't. Yeah, I can. Yeah, you're all fine. They would have a nightmare paddy fit. The owners would be pulling you up to the boardroom. Don't you dare treat my babies like that. No, your babies need to be put in the corner and told what to do. And they don't do any of that. They just let them run riot. So that's coming from the owners. If the owner just pats the manager on the head and said, yep, I back him, you're not getting paid until the manager says you're getting paid, like the olden days, that's why they respect the manager, because the manager would hand out the paycheck. There you go. You know. But you have to do that. And if you don't have the authority to do that, your whole club structure is always going to be wrong. And that's called Chelsea. Roman Abramovich played, yeah. Sent to Strasbourg. Oh, that's right. Yeah. Oh, sorry, I was trying to remember where. Yeah. If you play bad, you get sent to Strasbourg. Yeah. I can remember that. Exactly right. You don't mess around with Roman Abramovich. You're done. Woof, out the door. But you see, he was really the manager. That makes sense. He was really in charge of the club. You knew where the buck stopped. You knew like what was happening. Nowadays, you don't really know what's happening with the football club because some have like got, just owners that aren't involved. And then the manager's got no responsibility because the owners don't give it to him. Like, let's talk about, because I'm going to talk about individual football clubs here as well and their poor models. Chelsea's a terrible football model because that PE teacher, sooner or later, I'd give it about another 6 to 8 months and those players are going to turn on him because he's got no authority. He's just a coach. He's just going to be there until the next coach comes in. And what happens is when they lose a couple of games that they're not supposed to lose, or they put in a couple of bad performances, he has to hold the babies accountable. And when you tell the babies off, they're going to have a tantrum. And their tantrum is, well, we're not going to play for you anymore. And because if we don't play for you, we just get a new coach in. Like they did with Graham Potter and every other manager. It's the same thing at Man United. It's exactly the same thing at Man United. Got rid of Diego Costa. Yeah. Oh, I don't think they scammed Madrid. I think Hazard was a great player when he went there. See, here's the difference. When he went to Real Madrid, he went out of a structured, controlled environment in Chelsea, and he got to do what he wanted at Real Madrid. And what he wanted to do was eat food and not play football. So that's what he did. Oh, Rossini does. Oh, he's gonna get done because he's not the manager. Ruben Amorim said it straight out. That's why he got fired, because he finally figured out he wasn't in charge and he had enough. He was like, well, I need these things to make my system work and my team to flow, and you're not giving them to me. Therefore, I'm going to fail. So you either give me those tools or get rid of me. That's what he was saying when I came here to be the manager. Everyone in football knew exactly what he's saying. They're not letting him do what he needs to do to be successful. They're giving him some players and say, make that work in your cocktail of what you're trying to do. And you can't coach football like that. It just doesn't work. Now, you can say all that and then it will work with one team and everyone will go, oh, that's the model. That's how you follow it. And that's the other weird thing in football. There isn't a standard model to go, okay, we need to go this way or that way, and this is how it works, because it's football. It doesn't work like that. What you do need to do is back your manager for 5 years. As soon as you back your manager for 5 years, your babies know that he's not going anywhere and they've got to buck up. And any one of those babies that doesn't do what they're told, you kick them out straight away. You just get rid of them. You can end people's careers. You can do that. Like, you're a football club. If these people aren't willing to listen to you, look at what happened to Raheem Sterling. It's over. He should still be playing football at a high level, and he's not. It's gone. He's got some money, yeah, so, bump, you're gone. Amram got himself sacked. Yeah, but he got himself sacked because he found out he wasn't actually in charge and he couldn't do anything. All leagues are competitive to a standard, though. You've got to remember that. It doesn't mean that, like, people say they're not a competitive league. They are. Inside of that league, it's competitive for that league. Pep doesn't. He doesn't really do it. He does and he doesn't do it a lot. Like Pep just. But you're not going to mess around with Pep. Like, if it's Jurgen Klopp or Pep Guardiola, you're not messing around with them, are you? You already know. Because you know that the club backs Pep Guardiola. It's Pep Guardiola. If it was Ange Postecoglou, is the club going to back Ange? No. So you can have a go at that babysitter because he's a new babysitter. He's just showed up on the babysitting circle. Oh, we can bully this babysitter. And then when you find out you can't bully him and then you got to get down to work, that's when you start to have a football team. And that's what's happened with Arteta. They tried to bully him. He got rid of Lacazette and Aubameyang and all that. He got rid of them and slowly started putting a football team together. And now everyone starts believing in him because they can't mess with him. They can't bully the babysitter. It is what the babysitter says. Otherwise, you do sit on the bench. And you can't get there really quickly. You have to slowly get there. Or come in like me and just do it day one. And yeah. Oh, there's loads. Yeah. Joe Hart went. Yeah, there's loads of footballers. There's absolutely loads of footballers that have just disappeared. And of course, remember, you can always just get rid of any footballer you want nowadays to the Saudi League. You can just go, yeah, he's worth 60 million. Have him. And you can just push him off to the Saudi League. So the other reason why you've got this managerial stuff, and no one talks about this, is the infrastructure of the club. Right. So at Chelsea, you're set up to fail. Because they've got their own physios. All the backroom staff isn't yours. So when you go into a system where the whole backroom staff isn't yours, and all the assistant coaches in there aren't in there with you day one, you're in a real problem. You're on your own. Now, in Spurs' situation, for instance, he did take a lot of his staff with him. So now what you've got, when the new manager comes in, you've got to get rid of all those staff members and all those little pieces of infrastructure, take them all out and put a whole bunch and start again. And that takes forever. It just doesn't work. And that's where, remember, it takes 3 years to start building your football team. 3 years. So by the time that's happened, you're already gone. Chelsea are doing it slightly different when they're just going to replace the coach and all the interim and staff are all going to be there. But these people aren't going for the manager. So if these people aren't working for the manager, they're working for the owners. They don't care about this manager. That's why Maresca got the umph. Because he was so busy being upset about the fact that he couldn't play the players for the minutes that he wanted, when he wanted. That's what he was talking about. Because the medical staff weren't actually working for him. They were working for the owners, which is a completely different system again. I think the club having some of their own staff makes sense. No, it doesn't. See, that's the problem. No, you can't have that. Otherwise, the club's going to run the team and you don't need a manager. Like, what does it mean? Like, if I can't trust my physio because he's not my physio, he's the club's physio, and he's looking after, you think, the club's interests, but I'm looking after the club's interests because I'm the manager. Yeah, but I think that the club's... I don't care what you think. You're the damn physio. I'm in charge. And then all of a sudden, it all starts getting pulled all over the place. You cannot have two voices. You have to have one. And if you have the clubs getting involved in what you're doing, you're not going to be successful. You can't be. Oh, you can say it works out at Bayern. Bayern's a different entity. Bayern's been doing it the same way for the same thing for 50 years. So you can't turn a Nottingham Forest into a Bayern Munich. It doesn't work. You can't do that. It takes decades to get all of that stuff in there. And having one person that's been there for 20 years doing the same job, It's completely different than trying to build an entire new infrastructure inside. Because Man City, it took them a long time to get where they wanted to be. How can United deal with their former players? The Manchester United's former players, like if I was the manager of Manchester United, I would destroy all those former players in my first week. I would absolutely go to town on all of their punditry and destroy them so they wouldn't say a damn thing about the football club. I would pull them out because all they're doing, it's Liverpool ex-players used to do it back in the 90s as well. And it's a case of relevance. It's because they're not relevant anymore. And when you say you're not relevant anymore, and you're just saying as many horrible things as you possibly can because you're not actually relevant, and you've suddenly realised how good you had it as a football player, and now you're not in the game anymore, and you can't do anything in the game. You can't coach, you can't manage, you can't even run the bloody line. And even if you did run the line, you'd get all the offside decisions wrong. That's what you have to say to like a Gary Neville, all those guys. And then if they, the first thing you do is you opt them to come and run the line and a training session. And you destroy them, and you absolutely film it, and you destroy them. You go, yeah, and you absolutely make a mockery of the clown. You threaten them, come to the training session and do it, and you call them out. Come on, come to the training, and then you set them up as well. Obviously, it's a setup, so they know they're going to get all the decisions wrong, and you make them look like an absolute clown. That's what you do. If it's natural. But Real Madrid's different. Like you can't use like Real Madrid and Bayern Munich as your example of how to manage like Nottingham Forest or Newcastle. It's completely different. And that's the other problem people do. They take these Goliath teams that have been running a certain way for almost 20 or 30 years and going, oh yeah, but they're going to follow that model. That's not a model. That's a brand. It's completely different. Bayern Munich's a brand. Oh, Nicky Butt and Scholes have gotten together to... yeah, but that's the point. It's like, who cares? Like Nicky Butt and Paul Scholes, who cares? I mean, I would genuinely bring them out to try and make them look like a fool. I'll even let them run a training session, and every time they say something, I'd come in and counteract and say, no, he's actually wrong. Don't do it that way, because this is what happened, and make him look like a complete fool. And then, yeah, and then broadcast it to the world and let everyone see how bad they are. Because remember who they are. They're spoilt little children. They don't have a babysitter anymore, and now they get to run their mouth. So you have to go and basically make them so scared to open their mouth that they don't. It's the only way you can deal with it. That's it. Well, to be fair as well, Sky Sports is going under anyway. Sky Sports has lost so many subscribers and stuff nowadays. It's insane. And that's going to really hurt football as well. But also, when you're looking at these managerial appointments and you're taking someone from a Brentford and you're going to a Spurs, okay, Brentford's been running away. It's been running its system. Something no one talks about because no one actually has probably done a proper job in the world. A good manager at any supermarket or any factory or warehouse, if he's not there, it runs exactly how it's supposed to run and it doesn't change. Doesn't need a manager there because he's running it properly. Do you agree with Roy Keane? So I don't care. It's Roy Keane. I couldn't give a shit what Roy Keane says. He's an idiot. I don't care what Roy Keane says. Like it's so dumb. Well, like Alex Ferguson shouldn't be at Man United anyway. Like because it's just everyone's going back to Alex Ferguson. Alex Ferguson. Like it's just nonsense. They're saying stuff that basic 5-year-olds can understand. You can't have the old manager walking around your football club all the time. No one does it. It takes all of the power away from the current manager. You can't do it. Like it's not fucking rocket science. It was the first thing that you should do is get rid of him. Like no, you're not allowed back in the football club for 10, 15 years. Go away, go and enjoy your retirement. If you want to come back to the football club, come and be the manager. If not, sod off. Other places don't do it. They genuinely don't do it. They have a massive. They get rid of him for a long, long time. I mean. It's hilarious that the people think that that's a smart take. Where the old manager still walks around and every single player and member of staff can talk to him. Yeah, that's a recipe for disaster. And let me tell you why as well. So the reason why you need one voice and one coach is because if you've this is just from coaching experience. There isn't a single coach in the world that I can't destroy his coaching session on. Don't care who it is. Pep Guardiola. Won't matter, right? And there won't be a single coach worth his salt that won't be able to destroy every single one of my coaching sessions and pick it apart. He'll be able to say everything that I'm doing wrong and all these other... And if you don't understand what I'm talking about, is you haven't been a football coach. It doesn't mean what they're saying is right, but they can make it sound like it's right. They can basically say, oh, yeah, he doesn't know what he's doing because he didn't do this. Well, I wasn't working on that. And he go, oh, yeah, but he's never doing this in training. Yeah, because I don't want to do that yet because I haven't got time to work on that yet. But it undermines the credibility of the coach. It's easy to undermine the credibility of a football coach. Really, really easy. No, they wouldn't have. Why would you have Wenger there? Arteta would be fired in a month. You can't have him there. You just can't do it. So when you realise it's really easy to undermine a coach, I mean, it's simple. It's really simple. If you've got someone on your team, and this is where it goes down to, you've got to have, like when you say, oh, it's okay for the club to have members of staff in there. No, it's not. Because if one of those members of staff hasn't got your back, you're going to get fired in 6 months. Because they're going to be undermining everything that you're doing. It's that easy in football. It is so easy to undermine the credibility of a manager and counteract what he's saying and set in doubt to the players. It's so easy. So that's why you have to have everybody around you supporting you because you're supporting them. If you've got the club doing it, it's a completely different model. And if you've got all these club people in there, you're forever going to have a revolving, rotating door. You talk about Bayern Munich, but they don't have a manager that sits there for 10 years. Pep left. Why did Pep leave? Why? Because he couldn't be there for 10 years because he was constantly getting undermined and it's just another revolving door manager. And Vincent Kompany, credit to him actually, because I slag off a lot of ex-players. Well done, Vincent Kompany. He's doing well there. Hopefully they'll do well in the Champions League and we can see what he's really cut from. But watch, he'll be gone. He won't be there for long. He won't be there for 5 years and, constantly doing a thing. There'll be a little slip. All of a sudden, they'll lose 4 games in a row and they'll fire him. It's just the way it goes. And then they'll just have the next thing in because the Bayern Munich ship is doing this and Vincent Kompany is just coming in to hold it awry. He's not building the ship. And if you look at these lower clubs like Sunderland or Newcastle, even Newcastle, and they are smaller clubs. I don't care what the fan base says. It's in their infrastructure and their actual behind the scenes mechanics. One of the main things that these clubs don't do, which you can tell, is they don't bring up academy players. And there's a multitude of reasons that they don't do that, by the way. A lot of it is their academies aren't good enough. That's one of the massive reasons. But also, it's like you're constantly on this. See, when you're a manager as well, there's so many other things that aren't really talked about or told, where you're doing certain things for optics. You're not doing things to win games a lot of the time as well. That's the weird part. And you go, well, but you want to win every game. Yeah, but you can't win every game. So you're doing things for optics. You're trying to keep 3 players happy. And if you put them all on the field at the same time, you're going to lose. But you have to, because you've got no choice. Because you've got 2 players injured. You want to use that third one for the game that counts. And you can afford to lose this one because chances are you're going to lose it anyway. You're playing, Arsenal away. You're going to lose at Arsenal away. So you kind of do a little thingy and you send them out. And all of that plays into what's going on. Now, here's the problem. When you do that, you're going to get undermined from your back staff if they're not the backroom staff aren't yours. Oh, we think you should have played so-and-so because his fitness chart says he was available. Why didn't you play him? You can't have any of that second guessing. Well, they were brands. The problem with like Mbappe, they're brands. They're not football players. You have to be treated differently. When you've got a brand like Messi, Neymar, and Mbappe, they're a different entity. That's why you can't use these people as examples. You can't just go to that's what people do when they're looking at sports. They take the highest, most craziest earner in the world and go, let's make the rules for that, and that's how it's going to work. No. We make rules for the 80% of the football club, and that will grab us, and then we can add the marquee players. And if you do that, you'll be successful. But if you're always thinking about the marquee players, you'll lose the core and the heartbeat of your team. You see it all the way through most football teams. You'll see that like Newcastle last year were absolutely fantastic in the midfield. Slowly their heartbeats get going because they didn't get enough replacements into that midfield for them. Is that the manager? No, that's the owners again. So we always like, oh, Eddie Howe's having a real bad time of it. Is he? Is he having a bad time of it? He's losing a lot of games, but he's lost his best striker. The striker they got in to replace him, Weezer, was injured for 6 months, a bit longer. And you're going, okay, so what am I supposed to do? I can't just magic goals up. I can't just like come up with this thing. And it's all of that just gets glossed over because people want the headline of sack the manager. And no, Harry Kane's left Spurs and Spurs can't score goals. And the only other person that was scoring goals was Son. And he did it for about a year and now he's not scoring. He's gone. So Spurs aren't scoring goals because their 2 top goal scorers have left and they haven't replaced them. And you wonder why Spurs have dropped like a stone. Oh, it's the manager. It's definitely the manager. Well, didn't the last manager with the same squad finish 17th? And, yeah, but we've got a new manager now. Yeah, but isn't he with the same players finishing 17th? Yeah, but it's the manager. Are you sure? Or have you just lost your top goal scorers and you've never replaced them? Oh, yeah, and that might be the issue, but we're not going to look at that because then we'll actually learn things about football. Another thing is the Newcastle. They have been losing. Well, but losing a lot of leagues that doesn't that's bleh. That doesn't mean anything. Saying we keep losing leads, why? Like there's a billion reasons. Do you have your same starting 11? No, okay. There's no point talking about it. If he's got 3 injuries, which he does, or I think he's got like 9. No, I think he's got 6. I think Spurs have got 9. Well, you haven't got your starting 11, so it's irrelevant if you're losing the leads. It doesn't matter. My squad's not on the field. You know, what can you do? The team is always injured. Well, that's the problem. It depends on who the medical staff is. If the medical this is the problem you have in football. If the medical staff are against Eddie Howe and they feel like, oh, we don't want Eddie Howe here anymore, why do you think they're never fit? Do you think the medical staff are helping them with that? Because you can't have more sports scientists in football and then the more injuries in football. That doesn't make sense. It's like you can't say the game's it's not more physical than it used to be. They don't play more games than they used to. No, what nonsense they want to tell you, they don't. It's just not true. They used to have less subs. You know, the actual Division 1 used to have more teams in it. You know, so it's like it's just talking so much rubbish. Yeah, the top 4 teams might play more because they're in Champions League. Yeah, but they've got a massive squad, which they never used to have, and they were only allowed 2 subs. So it's like a lot of the stuff that they're talking about is just complete nonsense. Well, they're all high throwing specialists. Like, why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you hire a throwing specialist? Like, I would hire a new defensive coach and a new throwing coach every couple of months, all the time. I want to get his opinion. Who are you? Okay, tell us something new. Teach us something we don't know. Like all the coaching courses that I've done for all over the world, one of the main reasons I would know 85, 90% on the course. And that's not because, oh, you're a smart. No, everyone does. Every single person there, even if they've never taken a coaching course. I guarantee you, if you've never taken a coaching course, you're going to sit down on your first coaching course and you're going to go, I know all that. But then there's going to be that little 5% that you learn, or that 15%, you're going to go, oh, that's bloody brilliant. That's why you hire in other people, but you're still the manager. You're still in charge. But you have to stamp that authority down. You have to be ruthless, and you have to have the owners backing you. And if they don't, you're going to get knocked away. That's one thing I didn't get. When they have more subs, bigger squads, an academy, and you're playing the same team every game. Well, yeah. Okay, that's a weird thing, though. And if you haven't really coached a lot, there's this weird trust thing, okay? Where you know that player is better than the player you've got on the field, but you trust that player and not that player because you've known them longer, and they'll work for you, and you're not sure if that player will work for you or not. So you don't really give them a chance. Now, this is where it gets completely bizarre, right? Inside coaching. So because you don't give that player a chance, they don't work for you. Yeah, but if you did, they would have worked for you and you could have taken the worst player. Yeah, I get it. But that's not how psychology works. That's not how it happens. So then by the time you've given that player a chance and they get a run for 3 or 4 games and you start to trust them, well, they stop playing because they don't trust you because you didn't put them in straight away. It's really bizarre. And it's not every player, but it happens a lot. I mean, a lot. The amount of times it's happened to me, and I've gone, oh, you know what? I've done it again. I should have been having that player play longer than them, and I've not been watching what I'm doing. It's so bizarre. Yeah, a psychologist for penalty kicks isn't a bad idea because the modern babies are very, very fragile. Remember that. And psychology is a very weird thing because like I can make people just get really upset with me. They didn't understand it because I make my team hate me. Okay. I mean, hate me, but then they actually unite for me because if they see something because they see me back them up, when anything happens to them or anything goes wrong, they see how hard I fight for them. But when I'm on that training field, they absolutely hate me. And the psychology of having your team back you up because you're backing them up is huge. And people don't really do that. Like, it's not a thing anymore. Chiesa exactly. Chiesa, yeah, you've got it. Exact player. But Chiesa's a little bit different because he keeps trying hard and hard and Slot never picks him. Like Chiesa, it's a classic example. If he just let him play 5 games ago, he would break out. But he doesn't trust him. He doesn't put him on the field for 5 games. Yeah, and he keeps going, oh, Mo Salah's rubbish, but we'll play him instead. Yeah, you'll start seeing him. You'll start seeing them. Now I've said it, you know it. You'll go, oh, he keeps playing Saka over Madueke, even though Saka's injured and he's not fully fit. Why is he doing that? We know Madueke can play. And then when Madueke gets a chance, he's not up to full speed, and then he's pulled out again and Saka's thrown in. Yeah, it's very difficult. Sorry, I've got a huge cough. Well, I don't really have a cough. It's like, yeah, it's like a tickle in my throat when I start talking a lot lately. Yeah, but it's interesting the fact that when you actually sort of look at club structures of managers, there was a whole load of more stuff I wanted to say about managers. I had like a whole 45-minute thing just on manager appointments and how clubs pick and choose them. Because a lot of the time, remember, you're managing assets. Oh, the leg. Mate, don't get me started on that. It started hurting again. Oh. Well, I'm supposed to have had this course, this advanced technical analysis course setting up on Patreon, right? It's supposed to be going up at the end of January because I'm supposed to have moved house by now, and I haven't because we had a massive water leak in the house and in the new house, and there's all sorts of problems. So I'm like 4 weeks behind where I need to be. And finally, when I can move in and everything's different, I can record every day. There's going to be videos every day, at least 2 videos every day, and I'm going to keep the Patreon updated with a load of different coaching courses. Loads of different stuff's going to go on there as well. But I'm just getting torn apart doing too much stuff. And I just don't have the time. It's really frustrating because all I wanted to do yesterday was record games from the FA Cup, and I couldn't. I didn't have any time to even basically turn the computer on. It's maddening, absolutely maddening. But we'll get there. Like, by the time the World Cup rolls around, I'll definitely be there, and because I'm going to cover the whole of the World Cup, and I might even do some live watch-alongs for that as well, depending on the teams. But I think they're going to be bad games. I really do. There's not going to be any good games for the first 3 weeks. The last week is going to be the decent games. That's going to be it. We're going to get the odd one though, where it's like some weird team against some other weird team is playing, and hopefully that by then we'll have an update on the this league because there's a company that's trying to get me to run a football league, create and build and make a football league in North America. Yeah, so that's going to be interesting. They just sent the contracts back to Barcelona and stuff. That's all gone through. So we'll just wait and see what happens next on that. But that's going to be an interesting watch. Cash is going to run a whole league. They have no idea what they're in for. Why do clubs keep getting bad managers? I'll tell you the truth, right? Well, honestly, I've been thinking about this for quite a bit. I don't think there's that many good managers anymore. I'm looking at David O'Leary? David O'Leary. No, it's not. Who's gone to Celtic? The Celtic manager. Gone back. He used to coach at Aston Villa. Like I can't. I don't know how old he is now. In his 70s, probably, maybe. Like, and he is better than they had some American coach come over. No, sorry, I think he was coaching in America. Came over, lasted 4 games, and they fired him. He was awful. 4 games might have been longer than that. But he was an interim manager at Celtic. They hired this new coach in. He was terrible. They got rid of him and they brought him back again. And O'Neill, yeah, Martin O'Neill, that's the guy. Yeah, thank you. So I've done a lot of footballing around the world, and there's a lot of nonsense that people talk to get jobs. When it comes down to delivering, they can't actually deliver. But they'll talk enough nonsense, they'll get to the next job and the next job. And there isn't that many good managers anymore, because you can't do the things, the club won't allow you to do the things that you need to do to become a good manager. You have to say the right things. So what does that mean? Oh, we're going to have possession-based football, playing out of the back with a controlled base for a... Do you know what my team's going to do? We're going to score goals on you, and we're going to really, really frustrate you. We're probably going to get one of our players sent off. We might get one of your players sent off. Our manager's definitely going to get sent off. There might be a fight on the field every single week. But you know what we're going to do? We're going to score goals. All right? That's a completely different way. Yeah, he's a complete and utter dinosaur, but he's doing great at Celtic. Absolutely fantastic at Celtic. And like they were talking about bringing bloody Harry Redknapp back at Spurs, the media were. You're like, oh my God. Yeah. And also, it is a club. You've got to remember that. If you get the key, so let's just say I go and coach Spurs, okay? First off, if that happened, we'd be getting relegated because half my team wouldn't want to play. Yeah, that'd be hilarious. I'd be going out with 7 players. Why are you only putting 7 players on the field? Because I don't like these other guys and they're not working hard enough for me, so we're only playing with 7 today. And yes, I've done that before. I have done that before. You want to make people mad? Start the first half with 7 players. Here's the funny part, right? Start the first half with 7 players. The other coach thinks you're disrespecting them. Okay. They get mad at you. Then what you do is you start putting players on, because you can put players on. They're not subs. They're on the starting lineup. You're just not putting them on the field yet. And then you start adding more players to the team. And they think, well, you can't do that. Yeah, I can. I can have 11 players on the field. There's no reason I can't. And it's amazing how you can just wind up the other team. And yeah, it's so much fun. If your team, like some of my teams would be really into it, they'd be like, all right, coach, we can start with 9. We can get away with 9. Let's do 9 and then add the 2 strikers on halfway through the first half. All right, let's do that. You can do so much. Winger is going to play. Hold on. I only need to concede. Oh yeah, but it's Wigan. Yeah, it's Wigan. Yeah, like you'd expect that though. Like I wouldn't expect them to turn over a team. So with these managers though, and I hate using the term hipster football, but it's trying to follow coaching courses. They're following the book. And one of the first things I learned as a coach when I was there, and I was getting battered, right? I was 3 months in, and I was just like, I think I lost like 12-0. I was like, what's going wrong? Talked to one of the guys in the club, and he's just like, yeah, mix it up a bit, because I'm like doing everything by the coaching book. I'm like, yeah, I've done that, yeah, I've done that, yeah, oh yeah, we've done that, and he's just like, mix it up a bit. And you can see that these guys, a lot of these managers, are just coaching out of a textbook, and they don't really have any people skills or any actual managerial skills. How to think of how many player problems there's been at clubs lately over the last sort of 5 years. I think there hasn't been a single club that hasn't had a major player scandal inside of their football club, with them having problems or players wanting to leave because of X, Y, and Z. All of them have. They're just a disaster. They're just powder kegs waiting to explode all the time. There's very few stable clubs where everything is doing exactly what it needs to do. Arsenal is doing that right now. That's why they're getting better. Oh yeah, dude, I was terrible. Oh yeah. The first, I don't know. So okay, so I knew what I was doing, but I wasn't there yet, if that makes sense. I was sort of building my team, one of my teams, to be successful in about 6 months. And it almost was the point where I wasn't going to be there in 6 months. So we were getting absolutely hammered, and then I just started tweaking things, and then we were unbeatable. Off we went. Well, we still lost some games, but not like we were. And a lot of it is because I couldn't look past the coaching book because I hadn't had enough experience. I was just there following the coaching manuals. It probably took me maybe 4 years of coaching randomly all over the place to actually really get my teeth into it and go, now I understand what I'm doing and how to do it and where I can go. It took a long time. Like, don't be afraid if you're losing football games as a manager. Don't be afraid. You're gonna get fired as a football manager. I've been fired from every football coaching job I've ever had, and I'm gonna get fired if I get another one. Every single manager is gonna get fired. It's gonna happen. You're gonna get, like I was working at a non-league club in the UK, and I told them I'll give them 3 weeks where I'm not going to say a single word. And in 3 weeks, I'm going to tell you everything you're doing wrong, and I'm going to start putting it all right. 3 weeks and 1 day, on the first day of me opening my mouth, I was let go. That's how long it took. 1 day of me telling them what was wrong and how to fix it. And the real problem is when I was in the clubhouse and I was explaining it to the players, the managers sat there, and he's just suddenly realised I know more about football than he does, and I've completely undermined everything that he's been talking about for the last 3 weeks because he hasn't got a bloody clue. So it's either him go, I don't have a clue, keep this guy around and help me learn, or just get rid of him. Well, they'll get rid of me. He'll keep his job. That's what it's about in football. It's not about doing the right thing or winning football games. It's about who can stay in the job the longest and get rid of everybody else and get rid of the competition. That's how it works. Like, I can remember when, because I was trying to explain to them about using their warm-ups to maximum efficiency to run a mini coaching session. So whatever the coaching session was in the week, we half that and we'd use it as our warm-up. So we can double up on our coaching so we can actually try to progress quicker. Okay, because we don't have enough coaching time. So we use our warm-up as extra coaching time. They didn't understand it. They brought in he's a FA qualified level 4 warm-up expert. I'm like, he's a warm-up expert, is he? So he makes them run around a bit. Brilliant. Because all a warm-up is making you run around a bit and stretching. Well done. Anyone can do a warm-up. But if it's not a part of the structure and the plan of trying to make your team better, there's no point. And if you're just doing a warm-up for a warm-up's sake and not actually adding more value to it. So yeah, we're going through the motions, we're doing our jogging, our stretching, all of our nonsense, our plyometrics, diametric, all that crap. But I can do more. We can add something to it. And if you're not doing that, why are we doing the warm-up? Just like an office. Yeah, 100%, mate. Just like an office. Yeah, 100%. Remember, in the UK, it's even worse. Oh, mate, oh, God, yeah. Yeah, oh, yeah. It's like I don't warm up goalkeepers because, to me, that's the goalkeeper's job. Goalkeeper knows what he's doing. Goalkeeper knows what he wants to do. If we're shooting on goal and he wants to be in the net, if we're trying to do great, but other than that, you do what you want, goalkeeper. I leave the goalkeepers pretty much alone. They can sit and have a coffee if they want. Don't care. As long as they make the saves, don't care what you do, mate. If you don't make the saves, then I care. But yeah, that's a story for another day on goalkeepers and why I don't bother getting involved with those. But there's qualifications for everything because everybody in football wants to feel like they're important and they're the best person ever to do no one's ever come up with this passing out of the back before. What they were doing in the 1970s? No. This is different. We're passing out the back with the ball. That's how dumb it is. Genuinely, that's how dumb it is. Like if you saw my short with that Chelsea manager talking about, yeah, but if I bring the goalkeeper up, now we've got an extra player in defence and we can pass the ball out the back. Yeah, but there's a massive space on the other side of the field because they're high pressuring you. So just kick the ball into the massive space on the other side of the field and have your little fast player run in and kick it in the goal. Why are you making 17 passes to maybe get a shot on goal, where if you kick it to the man in the space, because they're giving you that space, he can just run and kick it in the goal? Because that's not cool looking football. And remember, what happens is, as soon as you go long and you can do that with that penetrating pass and your guys in behind, they start dropping off. Immediately, as soon as they drop off, guess what you can now do? Pass out the back. When they step forward, you go long again. It's not rocket science, but they won't do it because it breaks their ethics of, their, what's the buzzword that they say on the coaching courses? Their footballing philosophy. It's not their the foundation of their footballing philosophy is possession based, and you're just like, but we haven't got the players to play possession based football. So what are we doing? The other team's better than us. We don't want to do that. We happen to know a website where I can not anymore. Coaching books are good, right? I've got a huge, massive library of coaching books. It is worth picking up as much coaching material as possible. And you'll end up making up your own coaching stuff, like the more you do it as well. Oh, yeah. They love putting goalkeepers high up the pitch. Do you know why? Because it's from the continent. Yeah, it's the continental style of playing. Yeah, there's a sweeper keeper. He steps up and he deals with the balls from the back. Like that's genuinely where it comes from. And it's just moved on a little step and a little step and a little step. And they haven't actually thought about where those steps have come from. And that's why it's important to study football and know where football's come from. So if you know why they've done that originally, you can understand why it is happening now and all the steps along the way that's made that happen. And if any of those steps are wrong and they've carried on doing it, then you can go back and go, they're actually doing this wrong. They should be doing this instead of that, or that instead of that. And that's how you can really learn. Yeah, but you can, I guarantee you can just chat GTP it. I guarantee you, if you put chat GTP, I mean, you can buy like, I know you can buy like the coaching criteria for the B, the C and the A license. They are expensive. They're like £150, I think, for the actual coaching booklets. Well, of course he did want to play in the midfield. Yeah. Pep wants to play the beautiful game, but he would never. He wouldn't. He won't coach again after Man City. Okay, I doubt he'll ever coach again. And if he does, it's going to be in like Saudi Arabia or somewhere where it doesn't matter, or in the MLS where it doesn't matter, because he will not be able to reproduce the type of football that he likes to play. I'll be interested to see if he went to, because he won't go to another Premier League team. He won't go to another Spanish team. He won't go to, he might go to PSG. He could go to PSG. Of course, he won't go because of Bayern Munich. He won't go to another German team. I can't see him going to PSG, though. I can't. It would be interesting to see him go somewhere else. I don't think he would, though, because he's done it all in football now. I can't see him. Don't know. No idea. But here's the thing. The coaching books are not going to teach you anything. Coaching books are just for you to go out, have a session, go out. When you run that coaching session, that's when you're learning and you're learning about football. That's when you're coaching. Knowing where to put the cones out, or we're going to have, it's like some of the sessions, I was seeing them on Twitter. It's just like, it was so awful. This is professional Premier League quality training. And I'm looking at it going, I'd fire you if you're at my under 10s. The key into, I'll say this of, hello, let me guess, Real Madrid was mentioned. Well, about half an hour ago, maybe, yeah. Not really. Do we really talk about Real Madrid? No, not really. Maybe in the manager's appointment stuff, but not a lot. Did you choose a formation for your team based on... Okay, so I'll tell you my formation. A little bit different. Some teams, I never played a 4-3-3, because a 4-3-3 to me is a shit formation for bad coaches, always. So if they're playing a 4-3-3, it's because they can't coach football, all right? Standard. Don't care what any level it is. because no one has got roles and responsibilities in a 4-3-3. You've always got an extra player. So what a 4-3-3 is, remember, there's a difference between shapes and formations. Okay, so in the formation of a 4-3-3, you're really playing a 4-5-1. That's what you're really playing, because your two wingers come back into the midfield and help you. There's 5 in midfield now. So your 3 midfielders don't really have to play properly as midfielders. And one of them can always afford to go forward. So you don't have to treat them properly, or they don't have to learn how to play football properly. They don't know when they can and can't go forward, because one of them can always go forward, because there's always 2 covering. If you're playing with 2 midfielders properly, when one of them goes forward, the other one better know how to cover and do it properly. Otherwise, you're done. They don't teach that, because they can't. And what that also means is your left and your right backs can't get forward both at the same time. You can in a 4-3-3 because you've got two in the midfield, okay? Always. What will happen is if you're playing like a 4-4-2 with the 2 up front and actually trying to score goals, because the 2 up front are in the middle of the goal and there's not one there and one out wide. By the way, if you have 2 strikers, it's a massive problem, because you've got 2 defenders now that have taken care. The left and the right backs can't push forward. They can't go forward because you've got 2 strikers sitting on their centre backs. They won't leave them 1v1. They have to have a left or a right back come in and cover them now. They have to. And if they don't, they're going to get beat 2v1, 2v2. It's going to happen. They need cover. If you look at the amount of times the actual defender marking the player with the ball doesn't tackle him, it's the covering defender. Right? That's massive in football. Absolutely massive. So you have to have that cover. Without that cover, you're done. So as soon as you can get 2 strikers up front in the middle, game over. Absolute game over. Now, my favourite formation is a 3-4-3. And I cheat. So think of 2 centre-backs and one defensive midfielder. I don't play that. I have 1 centre-back and 2 defensive midfielders sitting in front of the centre-back. My 3 at the back, they're not centre-backs. That's a left wing-back and a right wing-back. Off you go. Off you go, lads. Go and attack. Yeah, have 1 at the back. Now, there is a lot of flaws with my favourite system, but by the time that they've figured it out, you've already beaten them 5-0, okay? And when you play them next time, you don't push up so hard. Now, the advantage with playing 3 up front is I don't play 1 wide right, 1 wide left. I play with 2 straight in the middle and 1 behind them. So you've got 3 strikers sitting right on their centre-backs. And their defensive midfielder has got my number 10 sitting on the defensive midfielder. When we don't have the ball, they just follow their defensive midfielder, their Caicedo, their Declan Rice, whoever's their ball passer. Nope, that's my number 10, sits there all day and follows you around. You can't pass it to your centre-backs because I've got 2 players on your centre-backs. You can't pass it out wide because, well, you can, but we don't care. It's hilarious. You just get to attack people. See, this is the difference, though. When you're getting into, 3-4-3s or 3-4-2-1s, that's a shape. It's not a system. See, there's formation, shapes, and systems. So it depends on what you're doing. Because remember, there's in-ball shape, out-of-ball shape. Okay, and your formation, even though I'm playing a 3-4-3, when we're attacking, we're playing a 1-2 everybody. When we're defending, my actual 4 midfielders, my left and right midfielder will actually tuck in and play as a left and right back. Okay, we'll be massively exposed. We turn into like a triangle. We're exposed up here, but we don't care. If your left and right back want to have the football, we don't care because you're not going to score us there. We'll give you all the possession you want out wide. We do not care. You can have the ball, pass it around, comes towards the middle or down to our flank, we're going to get you. But have it out there. But don't get caught up when people say we're playing a 3, because my classic go-to is a 4-4-2, okay? And I play 4 flat with a left back and a right back that push forward, 1 sitting, 2 and 1 in a diamond. It was AC Milan with Pirlo and Gattuso and all that great team with all those guys. They played a diamond in midfield. Their shape was different than a flat 4-4-2. So when you say a 4-4-2, you're going to go, oh yeah, it's 2 lines of 4. Nope. You can have a diamond midfield. What they'll do nowadays, though, is say it's a 4-1-2-1-2. No, it's not. It's a 4-4-2. But it's got a diamond as the shape. The shape is different. So just because, that's the weird part. There's only about 10 formations. but there's hundreds of different shapes. And this is the modern football nonsense of coming up with we've got they'll have what do United do? 1-2. No, you're playing with two up front, and you're playing with another one who's higher in the midfield. He's an attacking midfielder. He doesn't get his own role. He's an attacking midfielder. You're playing with 4 in midfield and 2 up front. Oh yeah, but you see, Pogba was playing at Juve in a system that had a diamond in midfield where he could be. If he lose the ball, it didn't matter. And that's the problem. When you're buying a player from a completely and utterly different shape and system, and you're putting him into your formation, and now you expect him to do a different role, it doesn't work. It's going like, well, I don't do that. And that's what, and everyone gets mad about it, and they don't really know. Oh, Pogba was great to me. I've said this a million times. Bruno Fernandes ruined Pogba. Remember, go back to what we were talking about early on about Dyche has an 8-1-1. See, exactly. Actually, I disagree. Dyche has probably not. You do know, right? The first formation in football was 9 up front and 1 defender. I have to dig that book out. Yeah, and they figured out if they put 2 defenders back there, they could try to stop them, and then they all started figuring out formations. It's hilarious. Yeah, but you see, what do you mean a 4-4-2? 4-4-2 is completely different. Yeah, okay, so I've said this a couple of times what happened to Pogba because no one actually tells the truth about it. When Paul Pogba came to Manchester United, he was blessed to be the Neymar or the Messi, the saviour, the best player coming back in. It's brilliant. He had a great. No one can deny how well Paul Pogba played for the first season at Man United. He was scoring free kicks, penalties, open goal. He was creating assists. He was great the first season he came back. Then what happened? They bought Bruno Fernandes. And they went, oh yeah, Pogba, that number 10 role that you're playing in? Yeah, you're not playing there anymore. Bruno Fernandes is. Yeah, we're dropping you into midfield. Yeah, all that running that you can't do, Pogba? Yeah, you're going to have to do all that running now that you can't do. Well, the defensive work that you can't play in the position you don't know what you have to do that. Bruno Fernandes takes the free kicks now. Bruno Fernandes takes the penalties now. And Pogba's going like, well, but you bought me to do this role. Now you're not letting me do it. And now you're blaming me for putting me in a position that I can't play in. Madness. Utter madness. Yeah, Pogba was incredible at you. Yeah. 2 strikers, 2 wingers, 2 midfielders, and 4 centre-backs. Yeah, but you'd lose. You don't have enough attacking players. You won't be able to control midfield. You have to have your left and right back step into midfield. See, but that's the difference. Just going to 4-4-2 doesn't actually say anything about the roles and responsibilities of what you want those players to do and how you want them to go. There's an old footballer used to play for England, David Platt, and I was doing a course with David Platt. And he was like, one of the big things that he taught me was when I'm doing my coaching plans of movement of the ball, of where I want this player to be stood. So basically he's almost like a wall and the ball bounces off him in midfield. So if we're having the ball come from the left back to the right back, but I don't want him to do that, how to spin it to the other side. And actually how we're doing, because we didn't have all the computer software that we've got nowadays, and we had to make it in Word, how to do that and how to talk about it more importantly. And that's one of the big key things. In your 4-4-2, what are your 2 midfielders actually doing? Are they both sitting? Is one sitting and one, going forward? Are they both sitting because your left and your right backs are going to go forward? Is only one left back going to go forward? And the left midfielder is going to sit to cover for him? And the right midfielder can attack because the right back's only going to come up and cover into midfield? There's millions of different things that you can do to tweak. My plan would be to push the fullbacks up into the 2 centre-backs. Okay. David Platt was an awful manager. Oh, yeah, for Forest, and it counts. Well, he was at Man City, I think, when we were. I can't remember what year was that. I don't know, 2004 maybe. It was at Man City. I shouldn't keep saying that name because everyone keeps wondering, where have you worked then, Cash? Nowhere. Yeah, it was interesting the way he talked because I didn't agree with a lot of. I didn't agree with a lot of the way he was saying. I understood why he was saying it, but I didn't like the way he was doing it, if that made sense. And you could see like he was been told this is how to do it, and I'm like, because practically it didn't work with the players I've got. I'll go back to the question about earlier on about how do I pick my formation with my players and stuff. Yeah, it's all, to me, to start with, when I was first coaching and I was losing and not knowing what I was doing, I was picking my formation and trying to do this. No, it's a lot to do with players. 100% to do with players. I'll give you an example. So I won't play a 4-3-3 because it's bad coaching. But if I only got one striker, I'm playing a 4-3-3 because I've only got one striker. It changes the dynamics of what I'm doing. I'm going to feed the one striker and we're going to make it about him. Does that make sense? If I've got 3 strikers, I'm going to play with 2 up front because I've got more bodies that I can do that with. If I have more midfielders, it all depends on what tools you've got to get, what you want to get done. Oh, he was he? Okay, I didn't know that. Yeah, because he was all about this. I mean, his sports science was, it was a good course that we were on. Some advanced, I can't remember what it was. I have to find. I don't know. I can't remember what it was. And it was all like the cutting edge stuff. But here's the problem. I already knew it because that was already in the coaching courses that was coming along that I'd already done. So a lot of the stuff that I was doing with him, I already learned a lot of it. Just because here's the thing. We used to have this thing, go and do a coach, go do the same UEFA, go do your B license again, go do it again, because you'll learn new things because it's different. It's changed from when you did your B license. Go do your C. Like the first time I did my C license was 2001, 2002. I've done it maybe 3 times since then. And every time it's different criteria and it's different stuff. I've got one of the books down there somewhere, I think. So that's where you end up learning more stuff because it does evolve on. It's like saying, I don't know, I wouldn't say the school system because it's terrible. But yeah, new information comes up and people start sort of pushing it into their coaching plans and all their stuff. But like, I don't know, all diet and nutrition is something that's not in my wheelhouse. There's another course at a football club that I might go and do in nutrition. Just there's a lot of things that don't interest me in football anymore as well. It's like if it's on the field, yeah, maybe I'll get involved. But other than that, diet and nutrition to me, because I know people that can do. I've seen a person eat a whole bowl of chili, and I'm talking 2 hot dogs, using the hot dogs as a spoon before they've gone out and played a game of football and played the best game of football in their life. If you gave me a bowl of chili with 2 hot dogs, I couldn't eat that, let alone go out and play a game of football, So, or to me, all this diet and nutrition is all like, it's all very individualistic to the people, right? For every Prem team, you'd have a different formation. You'd lose. You can't do that. You can't play football like that. Your players aren't, right? People don't realise you can't change your formation every week. You'll lose. You'll absolutely lose. Oh yeah, hot dogs is a spoon. Yeah. Legitimately. Yeah, absolutely hilarious. Yeah, okay. So remember, there's a reason you do passing patterns. So Wenger never explains it properly because he doesn't have to, because he's not trying to teach you because he knows what he's doing. So he'll run a whole bunch of different passing patterns, and none of them will come out onto the field. But half of them will. What does that mean? Right, so we're running this practice here doing a passing pattern, right? That passing pattern will never, ever, ever happen on the field, but that part will. And then this one over here will be the other part of it. So we'll have like 2 bits of passing patterns that will come together. If you keep moving the players around every week and changing where they are, you'll never, ever get a passing pattern happen. You'll never, ever break a team down because no one will ever know where anyone ever is. It just doesn't work like that. So all of a sudden, why Arsenal would just start passing the ball around quickly, because they've done so many different types of passing patterns and it just happens naturally. Oh, yeah. They all start moving and the ball starts pinging around. Even like in the Metzelozit days, you could see it. When Arsenal used to get the ball, you'd never get the damn ball off them. But that's been taken away now. For different players. It wouldn't work. I'm telling you, it wouldn't work. Come back after, because you've started coaching, come back in 4 years and tell me that will work. You'll go, oopsie cash, I was wrong, you were right. It won't work. You can't do that. You can't play with different, like, the best way to win at football is to have the same starting 11 out week in, week out. And it doesn't, honestly, this sounds weird, it doesn't even matter if you get the right players. It doesn't matter about the quality of players. Just get them going, get them playing 10 games in a row together, and watch that team will grow. They'll start to fix gaps, fix problems for each other, and it'll start working. Then you can start tweaking out components and moving people in and out, because then you've got some continuity. If you change it next week and then it's different and then it's next week and then it's different and then it's next week, you don't know what's going right and what's going wrong, and neither do the players. No one's got a bloody clue. Absolutely clue. You can't do it. Look at the best teams. You would have heard this phrase before. The team picks itself. Well, because it was the same team as last week and they won, and it was the same week before that and they won, and it was the same team before that and they won, and the same team before that and they won. When you start dodging it around, you're in a real bad situation. For all the passing patterns, that's emails coming through. It's sad to see. Let's see on. Well, I think that's the way of the Premier League, though. I don't think just relying on corners is an Arsenal thing. I think it's just VAR. I think open play, people not tackling. There's so many things I think have changed since VAR, and we're not really seeing it yet. So if you've got any business acumen or you know anything about the business world, let me give you an example. If you want to make money and you want to invest over years and years on a proven thing, you only invest in something called aristocrat stocks. What are aristocrat stocks? Well, how do you make money on stocks? Okay. You don't buy stocks to sell stocks. You buy stocks because that stock pays you money. Every 3 months, you get paid a check. The more stocks you own, the bigger that check gets. Well, not all companies pay you a check. So you want companies that will pay you a check. Okay. They're called aristocrat stocks because they've been doing it for over 70 to 100 years. They've been paying out checks. That company has always paid every 3 months its shareholders. Sorry, every 4 months its shareholders, every quarter. What does that mean? Well, a new company comes in and you'll go, oh, that's be a good company to invest in. And you'll call it Google. Google's a bad investment. Why? Because it hasn't been around for 50 years. It hasn't been around for 30 years. It could go bankrupt tomorrow. You don't know. It's a bad investment. So if you're investing in this like proper business investment strategy idea, Google that you think is an old company, it isn't. It's a new company. And you don't know how it's going to affect totally in the market. It could be gone. So when we're talking about VAR, VAR is a new thing. We don't know how much impact the VAR is going to have on football into the next 15 years. And we're going to look back in 15 years and go, that's destroyed football. You know, the impact isn't straight away. You just don't know. It takes a long time to assess it and understand it. Any tips for identifying and going from bad players, physicals? No, look, a lot of coaching, you just have to do it. Like, you just have to do it. Like, I can tell you things that I've done or I haven't done, but then the other thing you'll find is every single thing you say in coaching is nonsense, and you have to go back on it because it's different scenarios and different situations. Everything changes. It's completely different. And that's one of the things where credibility comes in again. Think about this as you're a Premier League manager and everything you said last week is irrelevant, and you're saying, oh, don't do that. And this week you're saying, go do that. And then the backroom staff are saying, yeah, your manager doesn't know what he's talking about. Well, because the situation's changed, because you're playing a different team. So you couldn't do that last week, but you can do it this week. But now, the other person's undermining you, saying something different, and all of a sudden they don't trust you anymore. That's football. That's really weird. I'm going to call it a night in a minute, boys and girls. I am going to start doing live streams more and more. I don't want to put a time limit on it, but as soon as I moved into the new house and actually set up properly, I'm probably going to go live almost 3 times a week, just because there's so much that happens in football and we don't cover it quick enough. And a lot of the takes that people do in football are so fucking stupid. I mean, that Szoboszlai red card the other week, denying a goal scoring opportunity. I was arguing with someone in my comments about it. Yeah, but he's denied a goal scoring opportunity. I'm like, how can he deny a goal scoring opportunity if the ball is in the goal? He hasn't denied a goal scoring opportunity. Yeah, it is a do-it-yourself thing. It is. Like my first year of coaching, I coached 9 football teams. Each team practiced twice a week for 2 hours. Well, hour and a half. No, I was doing an hour and a half at a time. Okay, I coached 9 football teams. Don't coach 9 football teams. It'll go wrong. It will go wrong. it will blow up on you. It will. And no, I didn't do anything else but coach football and work football. When you work out, I coached 9 football teams. So if you're coaching 1 football team for a year, and I'm coaching 9, I've coached 8 years more football than you in 1 year. 8 years. I've done 8 years more games. I've done 8 years more training sessions. I've done 8 years more times. I've lost eight times more than you're going to lose. I've won 8 times more than you're going to win. So that's the difference. That's my first year. And I've been coaching football for a long time. I tried explaining that to people in the UK. They were like, yeah, but that's not right. It doesn't make sense. Yeah, because you're in the UK and you don't know what you're talking about. And you have one team and you train for 1.5 hours for once a week and you think you're coaching football. No. It's not the same. So when you're actually coaching football, and you like, my travel schedule was insane. It was maddening. I'm getting like, I can feel like I get PTSD now just thinking about it. Like Friday nights trying to figure out how I'm getting from certain parts of the country to other parts of the country, doing things like yeah, absolute madness. But I tell you what it does do, it puts a steep learning curve on it. If you load yourself up with football teams and just because it's repetition, it's like anything in life. You do a load of coaching sessions. If you coach every night of the week, for 6 months, for 2 hours a time, you'll be a better football coach in 6 months. You'll be amazingly better. You'll laugh at your old. Like, I laugh at some of the coaching sessions I did. I was like, how was I that bad? But you got to start. You got to go somewhere. Like, there's things as well. It's so funny. It's because I see other coaches and they're terrible. And then you get bored, right? And a couple of years later, you go, I know that drill's really bad that other coach did, but I'm going to try it. I'm going to try it now anyway. Like, even though you know it's crap, and you go, I'm going to do that. Yeah, it was crap. It didn't work. Yeah. But one of the main things in football coaching is fixing problems. Identify what's wrong with their technique, and then fix their technique. Oh yeah, you've got to laugh at your own session. Like, oh my God, I can remember something. Oh, okay. I'm going to give you some of the biggest coaching advice that anyone's ever going to give you as well. This is what they do in the coaching world. So you go into doing your B license or your A license, you got your coaching plan and you're going through your coaching points and you pass. That isn't coaching. You get to your first coaching point. Like, there's so many bad coaches in the UK. It's unbelievable. They'll say, all right, I'm going to do that first coaching point for 15, 20 minutes. When it hits 15, 20 minutes, they move on to the next coaching point. That was 15, 20 minutes. Then they move on to the next coaching point. Pretty much all my coaching sessions, I've never, ever got past the first coaching point. Ever. Because the team can't do it. You don't move on if your team can't do it. We'll get to the second coaching point next, tomorrow, because you haven't got this right yet. And they just move past it. And they go, oh, look, I've done a really good session. Well, you haven't made your team any better because they still can't do the first coaching point. You still haven't got them doing the thing. Get them doing the thing. If they can't do the thing, you don't move on. You get a big stick and you start hitting them with it until they do the thing. After the session is done, I always realise how bad the session is. Yeah. But what you'll find is when you start doing that, then you'll start correcting yourself inside the sessions as well. You'll catch yourself. You start catching yourself. And then when you have a really good session, and when you have a really good session, you can start, repeating that. And don't be afraid. So if you have a really good coaching session with a certain drill, in 2 weeks, go back and do the same thing again. 2 weeks, go back and do the same thing again. Because what you're also doing, if the players respond to it, you're giving them success. So I want to get something done, confused, so I focus on the next. Don't be afraid to hammer on the same point as well. Like I use an Ajax training drill that Koeman used to run, and it was a warm-up. It's a 15-minute warm-up. He'd run it for 2.5 hours because they wouldn't get it right. They wouldn't move from the warm-up because they couldn't get the warm-up right, so they're not moving. They're here 2.5 hours. You're doing this. You're getting this right. And that's one of the big things of putting your authority down in the training session. No, we're doing it. No, we're going again. No, we're going again. They'll fail to pass the ball through the... Keep going. Do it. Oh, do you want to know what I did? People still remember this. I was so annoyed with our shooting. I made them run 5 laps around the football field every time they missed a goal. So I set up a training session, and within about 3 minutes, my whole football team is running around the field. They'd come back, they'd miss the goal, and they'd go running around the field again. They'd come back, shoot, they'd miss, and they'd run around the field again. Yeah. By the second week of us doing that, guess how many people didn't get the ball on frame? Oh, everybody hit the target. No one didn't hit the target ever again. They're always hitting the target. Yeah, metaphorically whip. Yeah. But, yeah, God, I'm getting flashbacks of one of my players having an asthma attack and all the other players just laughing at him. Just like, oh, God. Yeah, we did some brutal things, but it was all in to make everyone better. If you didn't have a player pass out or throw up, you're not really trying. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to call it a night there, and I'm going to cover the Champions League games this week because I think there's going to be some interesting stuff happening, and I do think there's going to be one big upset. I think Newcastle. I don't think Newcastle are going to have a problem. I think they'll go through, but I think there will be an upset, and we're going to be here to make fun of them. I mean, break them down and be kind and help pick them up. Yeah. And other than that, I think I'm gonna try to start putting some so we can put comments in so we can I can answer people's questions as well on the live stream. But I don't know how I'm going to do that. I might just do, I don't know, I'll figure out a way. So we can actually start getting people's questions. Night, buddy. Night, everyone. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you next time.